right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday night, and while you might be watching Monday Night Raw, Raw is XX, we are here on Sportswire Radio giving you your wrestling championship entertainment fix, and there is a lot to talk about because we are now just about in the halfway stretch to the start of the season, and we're going to give you all the latest happenings, plus who knows what else, and he hasn't been with us in a while, and he's going to tell us how he's doing and see what else, and so, with wait for it, further ado here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, wrestling star from Wrestling Championship Entertainment. He is the picture of perfection, Kodak. Kid! My friend, happy belated New Year.
Well, how's it going, Tom?
I'm doing good. Certainly good to be with you, and obviously want to hear from you since the last we spoke. I think we spoke just about 2 months ago, and I know things were kind of tough from the injury still from Kraven Rage. And I mean, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, I mean, I noticed here the perfect picture of perfection, Mr. Kodak Kid, that I don't see a neck brace. Is that a sign of maybe things to come? Or tell us how you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling good. Being picture perfect like it can. Uh, Not to break anybody's bubble, but I'm allowed about an hour a day, not in the neck brace, and I chose for Sportswire Radio to be that hour. But it is still very tender, very fragile. Still going to be a good while before you see me again between the ropes, unfortunately.
Well, that's definitely a bummer. I mean, we were certainly hoping for a New Year's resolution of you coming back here at the start of the season, but we understand neck injuries and we understand these things do happen. But I mean, to only have an hour of basically where you can take the brace off, I mean, how are you
Yeah.
functioning these days then since we last spoke?
Very stiffly, uh, kind of put. It's better than what it was when a couple months ago when we talked. It was very very tender. Now I can kind of do that. I can do this a little bit, maybe a little
Okay.
forward and back. That's about
Oh,
it. But other than that, I'm doing what I can when I can. So I hold it down.
what are the doctors telling you in terms of, let's say, a prognosis? Is there anything different than since we last spoke?
No, no, it's virtually the same. Originally, it was the crushed larynx and uh, cervical fracture. I think it was called. I'm not sure if that's the term. I can't remember what it was. It's been so
Well,
long ago. But
I'm gonna take your judgment because I know it's been about 3 months since the injury, give or take. So I'm gonna trust that you're following the doctor's orders when it comes to words because we certainly may not be following some of those words.
yeah, yeah, I'm not. I can't remember what it was called. But it's still injured, and it's going to be uh, quite a while before I can get back in the ring. And this question even raises from the doctors if it's a good idea or not. But I mean, I push away, and then we're going to see what happens. Maybe the next time I talk to you, I'll have 2 hours a day. I get
All
it
right,
off,
well,
maybe.
well
Who knows?
let me ask you a question. I have a couple comments. I'll get to them in a second because you're not sure based off what the doctors are saying in terms of you
Yes.
returning to the ring. I've
Yep.
gotten to watch you. Your matches are all over the place on the Wrestling Championship Entertainment page, which you can go on YouTube at WCE Heat and find out why you are the picture of perfection. But I mean, I know you're a competitor. I know you're a warrior. I mean, we know your brother's legacy as well. But I would have to imagine you want to go out there and compete, regardless of whether you get that permission from the doctors. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea, but it isn't a good idea is because it could be worse, it could be better. But I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be in the ring tomorrow. But we got to take it slow.
Well,
We
I
got to do
get
it
that. I
slow.
mean, listen. I mean, a broken neck, or a neck injury is very serious. We've seen it when we talked about it the first time. Lita, Edge. I mean, Shawn Michaels. I mean, Stone
Yep.
Cold. I get it. We can go up and down
Yep.
the list. I mean, Adam Cole just came back from one in AEW.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that you're a competitor. You're a guy that wants to compete. I don't know when that time is going to be, but I feel like that you are going to want to go out there because, and I'm going to get into it in a few minutes. And we have a whole bunch of people here tuning in because they want to hear from you. But you've watched wrestler after wrestler, whether it's in the WC locker room or elsewhere, and they're chomping at the bits. And I've gotten to know you a little bit. I know you want to be out there. I know regardless of whether you get that permission, you're going to get out there. That's just my feeling.
Yeah, fire in the heart, man. I got it, and I'm gonna get out there. See, the problem is is not if I'm gonna go back out there, but when I go back out there, am I gonna be what I was? Can I still do that? That's the question that raises in my mind. Is like, is not only is it a good idea, but I mean, can I even do what I was doing before? Can I pull off that moonsault like I used to? I don't. It,
All right,
I'm excited to find out though.
so let me ask you that a follow up, and I promise I'll get to everybody in a second. But let's go hypotheticals for a second. We always like to do
Okay.
hypotheticals on Sportswire, and we do cover a lot of sports, and I get coaches on all the time, and we talk about these scenarios. We try to play almost the numbers game. Let's say you're 50% of what Kodak Kid was, and let's say you're 80, 90% healthy, right? Whatever that time is, right? Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm only a reverend, right? But let's
Yeah.
say you're 50% of Kodak Kid. Is that enough? Is there a number in your mind that's set from where you were last year where, hey, that percentage is a good enough number for me to come back?
If it's not 100%, I don't know if I want it, man. Like, I got to give it 100% every time. And if I'm 50%, then I don't know if I should even be out there. But I promise when I am out there, and that's not an if, that's a when I get back out there and in between those ropes, I'll be 100%. And everybody who's in the WC better be ready because I'll work my way back from the bottom. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
All right, but I would remind you, and you know this, you're not a dummy. You've been doing this for a while. Your brother wrestled. You hear everybody that chirps out there and is in their own rights competitors. There's no guarantee you're ever going to be 100% of what you were. You know that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's true. But see, the rehabilitation process is going to take. I don't know. The doctors are thinking about a long time, 6 to 8 months.
It's a
It's
long
a
time.
very
No, listen. I mean, Shawn Michaels, it took him 4+ years to come back. Edge, I think the first time was over a year. I mean, Lita's was like 2 years. I mean, listen, a neck injury, Adam Cole, frankly, it's a miracle. I think we hadn't seen Adam Cole in like 9 months. I mean, you can go up and down the list of wrestlers that have a neck injury, and it's a very delicate thing. I mean, listen, even in baseball, guys get pinched nerves, and Lenny Dykstra had to retire from it. David Wright with the Mets. I mean, you go up and down,
yeah.
and you look at these injuries, and whether it's in sports, football, baseball, whether it's in wrestling. I mean, a neck injury is very, very serious. Let me get to some comments here. Adam Morgan, who's going to be with us here this coming weekend, gives us a big woo. Carmine Humphrey says, I am praying for your recovery, Kodak. Big shout out to Carmine. Certainly want to give him a shout out. Adonis Felly
Carmine.
certainly is in the house. He says, evening, Tom and Kodak Kid. This individual who we think we know says, yo, Kodak Kid, get well soon, buddy. My very dear friend, Mr. John Gonzalez, who is the head of the Sports Authorities Group, who you can follow on Facebook at the Sports Authorities. Over 4,000 members are a part of the group, and John won our Sportswire Radio NFL Picks regular season championship, and he says hello. Adonis also wants to say big recovery to you, Kodak Kid. Heal up very good. Prince Charles is in the house, who was with us last month, and he says, what's up? The Prince is back. Adam also says, get well. This individual who's wearing a Hulkamania shirt, I guess he saw Raw 30th Anniversary's opening segment where the Hulkster came out and they actually kind of screwed up his microphone, if you were kind of noticing. So
Yeah,
he
the
says,
mic.
get well.
Yeah, I saw that the mic wasn't working. They gave him a new one.
At first, I thought, okay, is Hulk kind of rickety? Is something where Hulk can't speak well? Or but then no, it was actually the microphone. And the prince also says, "Get well, Kodak. Can't wait to see you back." The new
Oh,
Messiah,
Jesus.
Nicholas Crenson, who was with us last week, says neck and head injuries are always a long healing process. So, I mean, a lot of people obviously want to see you get well, and I
Yeah,
want to
Jesus.
talk about again a number of different people that have come on. We had on Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, Nicholas Crenson. I mean, it's pretty much everybody from WCE that has been in
Um,
the house since you came on, whether it's been here live or in a comment. I mean, does that motivate you? Does that get you through? I mean, because I have to ask you, I know it's been a couple months. I mean, what are days like for Kodak Kid to make it almost maybe be halfway through the picture of perfection to get you through these days, man? I gotta ask.
First, I just want to say that just the sheer uh, pour out of people wishing me the best and
I
all
hear you.
that stuff.
I hear you're getting
It
get
means a
well
lot.
cards, by the way. Yeah, I hear you're getting get well cards,
Oh
sympathy letters. I hear that. That's what I hear.
yeah, oh yeah. No, it's but each day it's some days it's rough. Like quite honestly, it's rough because it feels like some days just drag, roll into the next. It's like the same exercises, the same rehabilitation over and over. But then I get opportunities like this to be on Sportswire Radio, and I see all these people wishing me to come back, and it just it keeps that fire going for sure. Especially seeing sitting across from you, and like I said, seeing all the goodwill, your good wishing, and all that good stuff. It keeps the fire going, but it's rough sometimes, man. It really is.
I know I asked you this the first time, and I'll ask it to you again because it's been just about 2 months. Because it's been just about 2 months since you came on. I mean, do you watch wrestling? Do you resent wrestling? I mean, how is your relationship with wrestling right now?
I watch almost all the time. Either I'm on YouTube watching old WWE stuff, WCW stuff, ECW stuff. I just watched an old match of mine against Donis Filios, which is
Oh,
you'll see it.
okay.
You watch on WCW. It's got almost 1,000 views.
I was gonna
I
say I was
watched
gonna ask you
you and
about that in a few minutes. Yep, go ahead.
I would just watch another match of mine. Was with why am I drawing a blank right now? Um,
Because you have a lot of matches out there that have a
KDC.
lot of views. Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, the toe strap match. I watched that. I watched Three Doors Down recently. Like, it's an everyday, all day thing, man. That's kind of what kills it too. At the same time, it's like it gets you so hyped up. It gets you just ready to go and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you think about it, it's like I can't even do this right now. Like why? You just wish if it wasn't for Craven Rage, I would have been out there towards the end of last season. I'd be out there in the beginning of this season. So I have a lot to go off of, and I have a little bit of a hankering to get at Craven Rage. A little bit's kind of a putting it mildly, I guess.
I'm gonna come back to Craven Rage in a few minutes because he's gonna be on here in a little while. So we're gonna definitely get Craven Rage some thoughts from you from him. But I mean, I have to ask you about that match that you had with him that had all those different views, the Beat the Heat match, which kind of led to, I guess, the Rage, right?
Yeah.
From Craven Rage, that led to the Rage, not against the Machine, but against the Rage of the Picture of Perfection, Kodak Kid. I mean, do you go back and watch that match because that was your opponent that cost you right now your health? I mean, do you go back and watch that match?
Well, I've to answer your question, so I've gone back and watched Vindication probably a
Yes.
hundred times. Beat the Heat about 100 times. Seeing Vindication, I had him beat, and that the ref got distracted. I'm pretty sure. I think it was James Marshall that
Yes.
distracted him, and then same with Beat the Heat. I F5'd him right to the ref, and if I didn't, it's more of like a regret on my own self but I wish I was more aware because I
We
F5'd him
spoke
into the
about that
ref.
the first time. I mean, you had him beat. You were the guy that a lot of people felt
He
like
tapped,
you were the
he
guy that had
tapped
him.
out.
I
He
know.
tapped out, but in the record books, he didn't tap out. It's such a whirlwind of emotions anytime. So it's I've been avoiding those matches recently as a whole, but it's a whirlwind of emotions when you go in there and you do exactly what you set out to do, but yet it doesn't count. It doesn't count, and I can't say I won. I beat him. I beat him, but I didn't win, and that's what sucks. And but I'm gonna get him again. I'm pretty sure right now there's a clause out there that we're not allowed to touch each other.
Yes,
I
correct. That was set by management. Yes, that was right after the
management
season. Yep.
reached out.
Hmm.
Yep, management reached out and said that we're not allowed to touch each other now or even when the season starts. But I think Kraven Rage just went to management and said, "Hey, I don't want a piece of this guy. I don't want a part of this guy.
You
So
really
you better
think that
keep him
though?
away
Do you
from me."
do you really think that?
He's scared. He's scared. He knows that I beat him. He knows that I can beat him. And why? I, the clause doesn't make sense to me other than that.
Well, you know what? That's an interesting thought. Let me get to some more comments. This individual, who I think might be coming to Sportswire very soon, says, hopefully everything works out for you, Kodak. This individual, who we may or may not know, says, I love you, Kodak. You're awesome, brother. Adonis Felio says, give you props, Kodak. I kicked your ass. You're very good. The new Messiah, Nicholas Crunson, who I have a feeling is coming back to Sportswire Radio very soon
Yep.
for something a little special, says, don't get me wrong. Only reason I want Kodak Kid 100% is because I don't want Kraven to have the satisfaction of being the one to end Kodak. Kodak is, if someone is going to end you, it will be me, and it will be like a man, beautifully violent till we meet in hell. Good friend. Also, Adonis Felio says, but you got in the W. And I want to give a
Yep.
shout out to a very good friend who I don't know why he's up. It's got to be 2:26 a.m. in the UK. That is Mr. BMD of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. And Cutlery Championship Wrestling has their Fight or Strike 2 this Saturday, which is once again sold. I believe it's sellout number 12 in a row at this point. So big shout out to BMD. But I want to come back to what Crenson said here, Kodak Kid.
Yeah.
And what's your reactions to that comment from the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson?
Uh, you know, I have a lot of respect for him.
I'm a fan of him.
Especially
I like him.
I'm a fan too. The new Messiah just really strikes well with me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. But he's might be a little over his head when he comes to going to end Kodak Kid. I don't think there is an end to the Kodak Kid. Not anytime soon. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, all right, we'll see. And BMD wants to say, woke up with a bad nosebleed, back to bed soon. Boy, I hope you feel better with the nosebleed. I hope a wrestler didn't kick you somewhere in training or something. I used to get those. Those are painful. I used to, yeah, or a broken nose you don't know about. I used to, like I said, get really, really bad nosebleeds for a really, really long time. And then I think I took better allergy medicine, but that's here nor there. I mean, I have to think, though, there would never be an end to a Kodak Kid because you have footage out there that just has so many views, and there's so many people here that love you. I mean, I could never think there would be an end to a Kodak Kid, right?
Never, never. See, I'm gonna come back, and you asked me the question of what if I come back 50%. Um, Here's my thing: is I probably 150% back because I'm gonna come back stronger than ever. There's no if, ands, or but about it. No, it doesn't matter what the doctor says. It doesn't matter what anybody says that's good for me. I know what's good for me and what'll be better for me, and that's be getting back in that ring.
No question about that here, and we are back, and sorry for the technical difficulty there. Adonis Felio says 2-2 Vertigo. Okay. And BMD wants to say, nah, man, just had a bad cold, got work at 7, which means he's got work in a couple of hours. So I hope you get a few hours more sleep there, Mr. BMD. We'll try our best to make you entertained here on Sportswire Radio. As we are
Yeah,
here,
thank you, Liam, for
we have
tuning
a
in.
lot of
Wow, geez.
we got a lot of people here tuned in because we are here on Sportswire Radio with the man of the hour. Forget about the 30th anniversary of Raw. Forget about if you're sour about the Packers being eliminated or Cowboys or
Ooh,
whatever your favorite NFL team. We have the man himself who's specially here just for us. The picture of perfection, Mr. Kodak Kid, who's got the 1 hour in the day that he can take off that neck brace, and he did it just for us here on Sportswire Radio. And my name is the Reverend Tom Brice. In about 25 minutes or so, we will hear from Mr. Kraven Rage himself. And Kraven is going to certainly be raging because a lot of wrestlers left and right from company after company, and not just in WC, have been chirping about the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsin Night Champion. So I have a feeling that Kraven Rage is going to be fired up tonight and some. So my name is the Reverend Tom Brice, and if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, please continue to give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, YouTube at Sportswire Radio, and also 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. But Prince Charles has a good question for you. He says,
oh,
when you come back, is Kraven the first in line to face in a match? Would love to see you all have a wrestling match again. What's your thoughts? That's a really kind of gets right to the heart of the question here for you, your return,
oh
hopefully.
yeah. Oof. Now, see, I would love that. If he could be the first match back, then might as well, might as well. But I don't think management wants that to happen. I don't think Craven Rage wants that to happen. I think he want. I think I might need a good couple a warm up match or maybe two warm up matches before I get to Craven. But if I could, I would love him to be the first in line so I can take that Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite Championship off his shoulders.
Let me ask you something because you just said something interesting, and I don't know if you really realized that you did. You brought up management, and then you brought up Craven Rage with management. So I have to ask you the question that I think a lot of fans of Wrestling Championship Entertainment may want to know. Have you spoken to management in the past few months, or at least since you last came on here?
Yeah, so they reached out to me um, during my recovery. They management has checked up on me quite vigorously just to make sure I'm okay and things like that. But the last thing that I heard from them was that we were not allowed to have any sort of contact with each other until deemed necessary by management. But other than that, I have a good standing relationship with management, and they're hoping the best for me and just kind of keeping track of the recovery. So that's all good.
So let me ask another follow-up question here about management. Is the doctors coordinating with management on if and when you can return? Is that something that is fair to ask you?
Yeah, they if they do, they don't tell me anything about it. I get what I hear from the doctors, and then I relay that to management. I may be fibbing just a little bit, somewhat, every once in a while, but they're pretty strict. Management, they need documentation. They need any sort of proof that I'm going to be able to go before I actually can go.
I don't remember if I asked you this question or not, but I think it's a good time to ask it to you now here on Sportswire Radio. And I know we spoke about your brother in the past and obviously his influence on you, but in terms of your family, the rest of your family, and I see obviously you're quenching there with the neck, but I mean, does your family want you to come back out there in the ring? I mean, how would your family feel about you coming back?
So my mother was very behind me when it came to the wrestling. She still kind of is, but she just wants what's best for me. I don't really talk to many other people in my family, to be honest with you. But as far as mother goes, she doesn't know if it's the best idea to get back in the ring because what if it gets worse or what if it happens again? It's all those what if questions. But I don't run off what if. What if is not in my blood. It's not a what if, it's a when. And that's the plain old truth right there. There's no what ifs in life. We got wins, and that's it.
How much do you still replay that moment from what Kraven did to you 3 months ago?
So, okay, so I have two different visions of that. I have one vision of standing by the ring and then just feeling just a pain through my back, and then looking up and seeing a chair coming straight for my dome. And then I have the vision of me looking up and feeling the crush of my neck and the bones cracking. And then I look up and I see a couple stars, and then next thing I know is I'm staring up and I got a neck brace on. There's paramedics. Sean Jovi was around. I remember Sean Jovi,
Yep.
and there was
Sean talked about
Dark
it here
Fire
with
was
us.
there.
Yep. Dark Fire's another
Dark
one that
Fire
we
was
talked about.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so then I also have the vision of the backstage footage of watching it all happen. And that I replay in my head more than anything. I've watched that footage about 120 times now, and it fuels me, gets me going every time I watch it, and it just eats away at me because it's like he knew, he knew why didn't he do it to JDT? Why didn't he do it to Sean Jovi? Why didn't he do it to Darkfire or anybody else?
Well,
Why
you'd
me?
have to. Well, we'll ask Craven that question. I mean, I think that's a fair
Yeah,
point. I'll tell you what. I'll ask him that question when he's on here in a little while. I mean, I don't think anybody can answer that. I mean, certainly we'll see what Craven Rage gives us in an answer. I do have some more comments for you first. Adonis Filios, the Drip King, says, "Uh-oh, open fire. Family is everything," from Carmine. A great point. We have here, don't rush it. Make sure you're 100%, which goes back to what we had asked you a little while ago and about whether it's 50%, is there a number? And, you had kind of said the same thing, and it's got to be 100%. And I mean, I could certainly understand kind of the two different sides. I mean, as a wrestler, you also don't want to come back and then let's say you're not 100%, then all of a sudden maybe you further injury. Are you concerned about that you could, let's say, further injure your neck? Because if you further injure your neck, I mean, we're talking this could really impact you in other ways. Is that something that's crossed your mind at all?
I'd be lying if I told you it didn't cross my mind. That's for sure. I mean, it's one of those things you think in your mind. It's like just going out there and taking a bump could just screw it all, take it all away. Just going out there one match because I think what crosses my mind more is how I can defend myself, even if I'm 100%. I go into a match, perfectly well that the person across from me is aiming for that neck because they know, and you'd be stupid not to. But I think a lot of people think I'd be stupid to get back in the ring in general. But it just because it crosses my mind doesn't mean it's going to stop me. Uh, I'm the picture of perfection for a reason, and I think I need to. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of animosity for Craven Rage. I have a lot of anger towards him, but I also have a lot of respect for him just because of what he did. And
You
it
really,
sounds crazy, I know.
yeah. Why would you say something like that after what we've said you twice since the injury? I mean, elaborate.
Well, I mean, he took an opportunity and he went for it, and he went for it 100%. We're talking about all these percents. He went for it 100%. But the problem is he didn't finish the job. I'm still here. I'm still standing. I might not be moving very often, and my neck might be stiff, but I'm still here. I'm still the picture of perfection, and I'm coming back 100%. We talk about all those percents. 100%, I'm coming back.
Well, I have no doubt about that. I'm just like perplexed. I've got respect for him because, I mean, I would almost have to ask you, Kodak
Yeah.
Kid, if the shoe was on the other foot, would you have done the same thing if you were in Kraven Rage's shoes, right? And after what you had done to him, coming this close to beating him, and you feel everybody gunning for you, everybody kind of coming for you, would you have done the same thing?
See, to answer that question, I need to know the reason why he came after me.
I'm going to ask that
That,
question again. I'll ask it
yeah,
to him in a little
yeah,
while. Stay tuned.
yeah. But what would I do it the same to him? If I was as afraid as he is, then yes, I probably would. I probably would do the same thing to him. If he was the only thing standing in my way and I knew all I had to do was take him out and then it was clear sailing from there, I would do the same thing to him.
You don't strike me though, as watching your matches and seeing you out there. You don't strike me as that kind of character that would do that though.
See, that's because the difference is just because I would do that doesn't mean I need to do that to him. That's why he needed to do that to me. He didn't just want to. He knew that there was no other option. If he wanted to have his clear sailing and he wanted to go and be almost undefeated, I think he got defeated one time, and that was
Jovi.
before he was,
Yep.
yeah, Jovi, before he was the Grand Slam champion, before he had that viciousness in him. Uh, he needed to do that because everybody knows that I'm the only person. I'm the picture of perfection. I don't need to be
Right.
raised.
I
So
would say what yeah, I do think that there's a point that you're making there. Go ahead.
no, yeah, he knew in the deep in his heart that I am going to beat him, but this time I'm going to win, and I'm going to win that Universal Grand Slam Championship from him, and then I'll give him a rematch right away. I don't care if I pin him 1, 2, 3. I'll do it again over and over because there's no way I'm letting him slip through my fingers one more time.
All right, I have a couple more comments. I'll get to them in a second, but I'm going to ask you a hypothetical
Okay.
here. Going back to the
Yeah,
hypotheticals, the numbers, obviously,
hypothetical.
a lot going on
Yeah,
in football. Obviously, we got that football mindset here on Sportswire. College basketball, we do a
yeah,
lot of college basketball coverage here on Sportswire Radio. But I mean, let's say that you're going through this injury, and I don't know what the timetable is. Let's say it's a year, 2 years even, because we mentioned Edge's injury took him over a year. Lita was almost 2 years. Whatever the number comes out to be eventually, I'll even throw it out there. I mean, Sting technically had a neck injury from Seth Rollins, and he didn't actually, quote unquote, come back for basically 6 years in terms of any type of competition. So I don't know. Shawn Michaels is 4 years with the back as well. So we can go on and have a number of different variables. But let's say I told you you came back, I don't know, 23, end of the season, or even 2024. And but the catch is that you do become the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite champion, but you've had to go through what you've had to go through here, which is hell, and I wouldn't wish that on almost anybody. Would you take that deal?
would I take that deal?
Would you take it? Yep,
Yes,
you would.
yes, I would,
And why would you
hundred
do that?
percent. Because I know I'm the best, and holding that title shows that I'm the best. And then who knows what happens after that? Anybody could step up, and I'd be glad to take on anybody for that title, and nobody's ever taken it from me. Once I get it, it's not an if, it's a when. When I get it from Kraven Rage, it'll be nice to have a target on my back because that
Okay.
kind of makes you. It kind of makes you better. You know what I mean? Like he didn't. He wasn't as vicious, and I wouldn't even go as far as to say he wasn't even as good as he was until he got that Universal Grand Slam championship. That made him push even harder, and that's kind of where the respect comes into play because he turned it around. He had one loss against Joey,
Yep.
and it wasn't even a questionable loss, and I think that fueled him. And then he got the Universal Grand Slam championship.
It's
it
interesting. It's interesting you said that because about Craven Rage and all of a sudden being different once he got the championship. Because
very good.
we had on a wrestler 2 weeks ago who in England, and I see Casey Jack Bradley is tuned in. He'll know who I'm talking about. Who was the GT Ministries and the Nonstop Action Wrestling World Champion, their disciple, and some of the knocks on Disciple was that, well, before he was the champion, he didn't have that much success, whether it was lack of wins or lack of scenarios that put him into a situation that got him to be elevated. But once he took one championship, which was the GT Ministries Championship from Gareth Angel, then Tommy Dillon, the former Nonstop Action Wrestling World Champion, he's been on a whole nother level because he's trying to keep the title. So now there's that pressure of keeping the championship. So is that something that Craven Rage faces? I don't know. I'll ask him that question, but I do have some comments. Casey Jack Bradley says, hello, gents. How is everyone? Just enjoying Raw 30th. I know Casey is out there resuming his wrestling training for his career, so we wish Casey a lot of luck with that. Casey is always with us in our
Good luck, man.
UK shows in England. We thank everybody that supported us in England here. We are number one in many towns in England. I really appreciate that. Also, Adonis Felio says buzzer with a exclamation points. Kodak Kid says you're the for Kodak Kid for Prince Charles. You're the perfection, Kodak Kid, but Craven is the king. I got a good question though for you. What's the best
Okay.
advice you? Yep. So what's the best advice you can give me for when I get back in the ring?
Well, what happened with him?
I don't know.
But
I mean, I don't know. Well,
to give you
what's the best?
advice,
Yeah. Well, let's frame it in a way for anybody. What's the best advice that you can give for anybody when they get back in the ring? How about that?
determination. You gotta have determination. You gotta have patience more than anything. Patience is definitely patience, practice, determination. You gotta want it, man. You gotta want it, and then you gotta take it. You gotta take it, and you gotta run with it. So if you want to get back in the ring, I don't know what's going on with you, but you be patient and you wait for your opportunity, and as soon as it comes, you take it. You take it, and then you run with it.
That's fair. No, that's a fair assessment, and I hope that same goes for you as well. I do want to bring in Raven Wolf. Raven says, "Hey
Oh,
Tom, shout out to Kodak Kid. Get well, brother. Swantons and moonsaults, brother. How much do you miss doing a swanton and a moonsault? I mean, how much do you miss doing that?
oh man, I love the moonsault so much. It's so much fun. Like as soon as you connect with it, it's one of the best feelings in the world. And you just oh my god, I miss it, Raven. I miss it so much, and I promise you, by we're hoping I'll say August, maybe September, you're gonna get plenty of moonsaults. I even want it. I was even one thing that's crossed my mind is you ever heard of the Phoenix Splash?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, I think that's when I get when I when I get back in the ring. I think that's what I'm going to aim for next. Really, really pull something out like that because it's going to take a lot to beat Craven. Obviously, um, he's gone through everybody and they've given him fights. So I need to pull out something deep, deep from in the arsenal, and I think the Phoenix Splash might do it. So I
Look,
don't
I
think the
think
moonsault will take him out.
I think that goes back to the point you made earlier. We will hear from Craven Rage in about 5 or 10 minutes from now on Sportswire Radio. But I mean, all the different people that squared off with him, whether it was Crenson, whether it was Jovi, whether it was JDT. I mean, you can go up and down the list. Adonis Felio, Starkfire. I mean, they obviously didn't have the right plan. You at least had a plan. So I'll give you
Yeah,
that much. Raven Wolf says, if my arm gets well soon, I'll consider a future tag team with myself and Kodak Kid. Well, we'll see. I mean, listen, we have to hope first that Kodak Kid returns, although he gave us maybe a sign of things to come, but that's going to be up to the doctors. I mean, listen, Kodak Kid can say, yeah, I
yeah,
could want to come back in August, but if the doctors say, you know what, you're not ready, he ain't coming back. So, I mean, it's really unknown at this point. So we really don't know him. And I wanted to ask you this question before I get to closing thoughts and a few other things from you. Obviously, I'm
yeah,
sure you heard about the news at the Ronus Championship Wrestling. belt is coming to Wrestling Championship Entertainment with Sean Jovi. Obviously,
Yeah,
his championship belt is now
yeah,
going to be defended on WCE shows. And I know it's a long time away for you. We really don't know the situation for when eventually we hope that you come back. But what's your impressions on
yeah.
the resident rock star Sean Jovi and the Ronis Championship Wrestling belt maybe coming to WCE and being defended? I mean, is that something that does cross your mind, or you're not at that point yet?
I mean, it definitely crossed my. When I first heard it, I got goosebumps, man. It was one of those things. It's like, oh wow, there's something else to gun for. And obviously, any superstar wants all the championships. To take, I'll take the interstate. I'll take the rump. I'll take, you know what I mean. Like you wouldn't be a superstar unless you won them all. But it gave me goosebumps knowing it was coming. So I mean, like you said, it's far down the line, but we'll see what happens. But congratulations to Sean Jovi.
Well, I mean, he basically re-brought his championships belt back. I mean, I don't know if I could say congratulations to the resident rock star exactly, but I will certainly say that
Oh,
we'll see what the roster has to say about it in Craven Rage as well here soon. Raven Wolf says, "Hell yeah, brother! You missed a ton since we met, bro. I'm kind of going through a current arm injury at the moment from a swanton back in 2020 against Tyler Rock for All Insane Wrestling. But I've been
yep.
kind of lacking on rehabbing my arm. But if anything, you'll get well soon. We got this."
You got to be rehabbing Raven. You gotta. You can't just expect it to be fine. Like you got to do something. It's the determination, man. You can't just wait and see what happens. You gotta go for it. You gotta get it better. You got this though. It
It's
was
the eye
great.
of
It
the
was great
tiger.
meeting you and all that stuff. The eye
Yep,
of the tiger.
that's
It,
it.
yeah.
Don't think too much because we want to make sure you don't risk that injury. But I know that we're getting close to closing thoughts because I can see with the neck there you're kind of hobbling there a little bit. But the advice here, Kodak Kid, can't wait to see you in the ring. Yours truly, Killer Wolf.
Whoa.
You know what Killer Wolf by any chance out there that's been wrestling in the Wisconsin Midwest area? Does that ring a bell to you there, Mister
Uh,
Kodak Kid?
a little bit. I won't say too much about it, but I'm
Okay.
I'm glad that he took the advice, and I can't wait to see you. I don't know if we'll ever cross paths, but if we do, it'll be a fun one.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm sure you may or may not be aware of. We've had the Mecca Brothers tune into our
You know,
shows. The Mecca Brothers,
yeah,
they might be coming
Eric
on to
and Tim.
Sportswire real soon. Eric and Tim. Yep.
Yep, Eric and Tim. That takes me way back. See, now here's my story, and it's just like it's off. Oh, oh, it's off. But Tim Mecca and my brother Dan were like best friends, and they were in a tag team called Black and Blue together, and they won. There was they won a couple different titles and stuff in some old promotions and Jesus, just hearing Tim's name and Eric the Wolf Mecca, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that I met him at a like a race. It was like a car race kind of thing.
Oh,
There's this
okay.
place up in Wisconsin. It was WIR, and we ended up wrestling outside of the place. And I just remember suplexing him, and then we were wrestling, and then all of a sudden, he picked me up above his head, big old and then and threw me on my face, and it was very interesting time meeting him.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. That could be a sign of things to come, and I have a feeling that the Meccas might be tuning in when Mr. Craven Rage comes on here in a few minutes. So, I think a lot of people are very anxious what Mr. Craven Rage has to say. Raven also wants to say, "Yeah, I've been just busy lately, but starting this weekend, I've been going to the gym. If anything, thanks for the advice, bro." Also, we have here Adonis Felios. I second at that Kodak Kid, you better come back to WC. Well, he said he's going to try. He said that he's going to try in hopes of a future rematch. So we'll certainly see. Obviously, we're all keeping our fingers crossed. And also, if you like what you hear from Wrestling Championship Entertainment, I cannot stress enough the fact that you need to follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment here, WCEHeat.com. Also, Facebook at WCE Heat. Also, YouTube, Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Please subscribe to their page. Nearly 400 subscribers where you can see Kodak Kid matches. Also, his entrance music, by the way, excellent entrance song. Who does your entrance music, by the way?
It's a band called Royal Deluxe.
Okay.
Song. Yep. Yeah. It's a very relevant type of song. I actually had one before that. It was called "Watch Me." It was by the Phantoms.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a really good one. But like, and I just listened to one. I can't even remember what it was called, but I might change it. But I don't know if I want to, because as soon as once everybody hears the Wanted Man, the whoa, they're gonna go nuts, man. If God forbid, if the doctors say it's okay, or when they say it's okay, then yeah, it's a good song.
No, I definitely think so. I liked it. I was bopping my head a little bit to it. I think here we know that that's a sign maybe that the Mecca's heard from the bat signal. Also, Nicholas Crenson says, I remember being tag team champions with Dan as well.
Yeah.
His brother. Yep. So obviously there's a big history there. A long time ago, Nicholas Crenson is still looking for gold. So Nicholas Crenson, this better be the year he gets some gold. Also says, I remember Dandy Dan takes good power bombs. I'm sure he does, but I'm sure he also gives out also some moves too. Raven Wolf also says, I have money on Kodak then Adonis. I'll be after you next. No disrespect, just business. And a big shout out here to the owner of Colory Championship Wrestling, Mr. James Barris, the man behind CCW. And of course, they have a show coming up here, Fight or Strike 2. This Saturday, it's sold out once again, and a who's who of people from Sportswire Radio are going to be there. We're going to have some sort of CCW coverage tomorrow night, which will be UK time with Dan Robertson, the Cult of Killjoy. He'll be in that Rumble, and Young Horace. So we'll be speaking a little bit of CCW, then Tailored Truths on Thursday's show. So a lot to get into with our friends at Colory Championship Wrestling. And if you are a fan of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, please follow Colory Championship Wrestling on their Facebook page. Over 4,000 plus members are in that group. So if you're a Wrestling Championship Entertainment fan, go over, follow their group, Colory Championship Wrestling, also Carnage Championship Wrestling, all their groups. Please go out there and support them. Adonis says LOL, and Nicholas says the irony of Kraven using your brother's cutter is somewhat poetic. Ooh, boy, I think this could very well be a sign of things to come, but I know that your neck is not doing too well. I can see it. So I want to give you now the floor. Anything that you want to say before we bring on Kraven Rage, anything you want to say to him, anything else on your mind, anything you want to say to the fans, everybody watching, and the floor is yours, my friend. And we're so grateful that you've given us this time here to tell us how you're doing and everybody else out there listening and watching. So the floor is yours, my friend.
I just want to thank everybody who came out to watch Sportswire Radio instead of Raw, obviously. Why wouldn't you? Thank you for all the good well wishes or the get well wishes, and I appreciate all the questions and asking for advice. I love to give advice. It's really good. And to Kraven Rage, Kraven Rage, why don't you tell them why? Why me? Why not JDT? Why not Shelby? Why not Darkfire? Why not Nicholas Crimson? Why me? Be honest. Tell them that you know that I'm going to take you out and I'm going to put you down once and for all and finally take that Wisconsinite Grand Slam championship. That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the strongest words yet from Kodak Kid, the picture of perfection. We've had him on here several times over the past several months, and it seems like if there's a will, there's a way. He's going to find himself back in a wrestling ring, and Kraven Rage it's very well those words are being directed toward him, and we're going to certainly find out here shortly. So I have a feeling that the Picture of Perfection Kodak Kid is certainly going to be working his tail off like there is no tomorrow to try to get back in the ring here. And one more comment before we let you go. I gotta go. Your best wishes to Kodak Kid. Get well, brother. And Adonis, I'll be seeing you soon in AIW. Also going to take that title from you as well. Going to make Kodak proud. Well, my friend, I hope that you feel better. Certainly, fingers crossed. We're all rooting for you. We're all praying for you. And certainly go out there, go get some rest, go lay down, go take some Tylenol, go do whatever you got to do in terms of to keep yourself going. And we definitely look forward to hearing from you soon and get another update. Hopefully, a continued prognosis from a road to recovery. And thank you for all that you do. In the meantime, we're going to watch all your matches to get fired up for hopefully win that next time we see you back in that ring.
Thanks so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Picture of Perfection Kodak Kid giving us the injury update for him. We'll see if he continues to improve, and hopefully we see him out there in a wrestling ring, especially in WCE's Wrestling Championship Entertainment very, very soon. And now here with us, ladies and gentlemen, he is certainly going to be the target of a lot of people here tonight. He has certainly been talked about in company after company and champion after champion, and I know he's chomping at the bits, so let's get right to it. So with that, wait for it, further ado here on the Sports Report, number one, good sports show. Pro wrestling star here in the Wrestling Championship Entertainment Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite champion. Here's the ruler of the WC Yard. His name is Kraven. Rage. The champ is here. My friend, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Reverend. Happy New Year to you.
Boy, Mr. Kraven Rage, where do we start tonight here on Sportswire Radio? Because we have a ton of people that are tuned in. But first of all, I want to get your reactions to something that the Picture of Perfection Kodak Kid had just said. And one of the things he had asked with us tonight was, why not somebody else to have injured him the way that you did? Why not go after Sean Jovi, the resident rock star who holds a victory over you, or JDT, or Nicholas Crenson, Adonis Felios, Darkfire? So for those that are watching and listening to this here on Sportswire Radio, why did you do what you did to the Picture of Perfection Kodak Kid?
Well, to be honest with you, Reverend, the reason why I did what I did is because if you want to be the best in this business, you got to beat the best. Kodak kept coming after me, so I had to put him down like a dog. And that's what I did. Because I'm the best in this business. The longest reigning champion. All last year, I dominated the entire roster. You name them. I stacked them and I knocked them down. And they fall to me.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's a fair point. I do have some comments first before I follow up, so let me get to them. Prince Charles, who's obviously been a big supporter of yours, says, nothing funny, Adonis. You're taking another L in WCE. And he also gives you a big shout out. I'll come back to this individual. I promise you, I'll definitely come back to him. Raven Wolf says, LOL, oh, snap, crackle, and pop. Whoop, Kraven Rage by the end of season 2. I ain't going to stop your mic drop. Okay. Prince Charles says, shut your mouths, clean your waxy ears, and listen to what the ruler of the yard has to say. And then Adonis Felio says, sorry, Prince, but safe to say you are not Elias. And then Raven Wolf says, don't make me drop a pipe bomb, Swanton style. Princess Charles, with all due respect, acknowledge me instead. Okay, I got all that. But I want to ask you a question that I had asked as a follow-up to Kodak Kid, and tell me your thoughts. And I had a wrestler on about 2 or so weeks ago. I don't know if you saw. His name is Disciple, and he's actually the world champion in England for 2 companies right now, GT Ministries and Nonstop Action Wrestling, and he's a big deal right now, and he's probably right up there, I would say, is one of the most dominant wrestlers right now in all of Great Britain right now at the moment. And the question that I had asked, and Kodak gave me an answer, I'm now going to ask you the same question. And it was posed to some that Disciple, before he had won his championships, didn't have the most success. But when he got the titles 4 months ago, he's all of a sudden transformed. Kind of like the way you are right now, where you're the ruler of Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I mean, is it a fair question to ask that there's a lot of pressure in holding the title, and you have to feel that you always have to be on your A game because you might have people from all over the place and people you don't know who want to chomp at the bit and kind of take what you have? I mean, give me your thoughts on maybe the pressure of being a champion.
Being the pressure, being a champion, you always gonna have that target on your back. You're gonna have the biggest target on your back because you're carrying that gold. So everybody going to knock you off your pedestal. I dug and crawled and I went to the top and I started my legacy winning this championship, and I elevated this title to be the top richest prize, one of the top richest prize in this industry. Because we got the interstate title, and that legacy with that title is getting up there, champion. Everybody's after that title. Everybody's after this title. So you always gonna have a target on your back, no matter what, especially being a champion, because that's the number one goal, is to knock off the champion.
Do you feel, though, that you have to go another level because you have a championship that people from not just in WCE but all over want?
Yeah, you have to. You have to be 100% on your A game. You have to bring it up. You have to bring your best. That's what makes you a great champion.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's kind of an answer I expected. So I'll come back to some of my questions, but let me get to some people here. Killer Wolf is coming for you, Kraven. Now, first of all, Killer Wolf, does that ring a bell? Do you know who this guy is? And you have any thoughts on him?
Killer Wolf needs to stay in his lane, because if he stepped to me, he might be trained to be a killer wolf, but I might put him in his place like I did everybody else that I have faced. So he might end up being like a killer puppy.
If that's possible, right? I mean, I guess killer and puppy usually don't go hand in hand, but I tell you one thing, we'll find out what happens. Prince Charles says, "Of course I ain't Elias. I'm the prince and you're a false king." Tyler Ark is here and he watches Kraven Rage. What big news? Says the one who took the L to me in his debut last year at the back of the line, Lil Wolf. Tyler Ark show is canceled. The Kraven Ark show, I get all this. Okay, so you know what? I can see some of this back and forth, and I'm not going to waste my time on it for now. But let me ask you something else. And I wanted to touch upon it when it comes to Kodak Kid. And we talked about the doctor prognosis, and we talked about management, and kind of this whole situation where he says that he thinks that you went to management and said, don't touch him. Don't go. You don't want him. You don't want to go after him. Is that something that you want to answer to his allegations, you might want to say, on whether you went to management basically saying that you don't want any part of Kodak Kid?
No, I didn't even go to management at all. Management put that restriction on us because management is protecting Kodak from me, because they know I would destroy Kodak Kid worse if he steps to me again.
Okay. All right. So let me then ask you a follow-up, because I knew this was going to come. So I had asked Kodak Kid what his connections or communication with management has been over the past couple of months. And he said he really hasn't spoken to management much. I mean, I don't know the parameters of this, but is that something you could back up? Because you say you didn't go to management, but somebody obviously is going to somebody here, I would have to think. So, I mean, what's your response to what Kodak Kid says, and that he really hasn't spoken to management much?
Well, we had a commissioner, Mark Packer, so probably he went to management. He had to go to management just to say, hey, we need to protect Kodak. So
Okay.
that's the only person that can go to management is our commissioner. Because I don't go to management. You know, I just do what I'm good at.
So let me ask you something, because you brought up Mark Packer, and that's a name we've brought up here and there. And Nicholas Crenson had a few different things to say about Mark Packer last week. So, how do you feel about Mark Packer then, right now at the moment?
He's the commissioner of WCE. I don't have issues with Mark Packer, you know, because at the end of the day, I'm the ruler of the yard. So I'm the champ. I don't have no issues with Mark Packer at all. But if Mark Packer ever crossed me, he will fall to me too.
Okay, well, he's management, so I'm assuming, fair to say, he's not going into the ring. So I would assume that he's in a management position. So I'm assuming talent and management, they don't touch each other. So I'm assuming that. I know in wrestling, you can never assume anything, but that's just at least my assumption. So we'll certainly find out, I'm sure, throughout the weeks. And maybe, just maybe, we'll reach out to Mr. Packer and see his thoughts on some of these different things. But let me ask you another question, and I'm going to ask this to you, and you tell me your thoughts. I mean, do you want to see Kodak Kid return to the ring?
Honestly, you better enjoy his time being off. Just don't come back, because he comes back, it's going to be worse. Because what I did to him, it's not going to be nothing what I'm going to do to him. Because this time, he might not even be walking the next time he faced me, if he ever gets a chance to face me.
Okay. I have a couple of good questions. So first, I'm going to get to Prince Charles before I get to the next one, because the next one, I think, will perk your attention after what Prince Charles has to say. But this is an interesting one, which I hadn't thought of yet. Besides you, of course, who do you think is on the Mount Rushmore of WCE? What do you think on that?
Who's on Mount Rush of WC? You're looking at me.
Well, he said obviously other than you. Is there anybody else on the Mount Rushmore? That's kind of his question.
Well, I don't see nobody else standing up there.
Okay, I mean, James Marshall, Sean Jovi, Nicholas Crenson. I mean, Darkfire. I mean, any of those names you think would be up there, at least in terms of the Mount Rushmore? I mean, those are some names at least I could throw out there for a start.
Well, James Marshall could get up there because he held the interstate title. Sean Jovi could get up there. Nicholas Crenson can get up there. Darkfire definitely can get up there.
Well, you and Darkfire have really the match that the world has seen. I mean, so you have to at least, he's got to be in the consideration, because again, it takes two to tango, and there is a match that we've spoke about between you and him that a lot of people in the world have seen. It's a match that thousands and thousands of people, and I mean hundreds of people still see that match. I mean, it's a match that I think last I counted had 2,400 views. I mean, it just continues to be a match that people still gravitate to. So I think just on that, I think Darkfire is up there.
I'll put like Sean Jovi, James Marshall, Darkfire, obviously me. Nicholas Crenson can get up there as well.
Sure.
So,
Okay. All right. All
but
right. All right. All right. That's fair. Let me come back to somebody that I have a feeling is coming to Sportswire Radio very soon and was kind of a big topic of conversation last week, which I'm sure you might be aware of at this point. And this individual says he's maybe giving a declaration to you. And he says, Mechas are the rulers of the yard. Kraven Rage, you might survive the year as champ. Everyone falls sooner or later. Now, Tim and Eric Mecca have certainly been a big topic here in the WCE universe and throughout kind of these last few shows on Sportswire Radio. And I mean, I'm sure, heard the comments, you've heard some of the back and forth. I mean, these guys are a big deal. I mean, they certainly have a legacy. And, what do you think about these outsiders, Eric and Tim Mecca, and what they have to say toward you, Mr. Craven Rage?
well, first and foremost, yeah, I have heard about their legacy, the Meccas, and what they have accomplished, what they have done, especially Tim, especially Eric. I have heard it from James Marshall. I have heard it from Nicholas Cranston. Everybody that has been on here, even they have came on here and talked about their legacy, and that's the thing. I don't want to talk about last year because what I have accomplished, I went through the whole roster almost last year. This year, it's about legacy. This year, I am going to continue my legacy. I'm going by destroying people's legacies and smashing people's legacies. This year, it's a lot of legacies that's going on. You just had John Jovi talking about the RCW and that legacy.
I was going to ask you about that in a few minutes. Glad you brought that up. Go ahead.
We got the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsin Night Championship legacy. We got the Interstate legacy. We got all these legacies that's going on. This year, I'm out to destroy everybody's legacy, especially at RCW, because John Jovi is bringing it back. That's fine. That's all dandy. Good. I'm glad he's bringing that legacy back. I'm glad he's bringing that championship back because I stole it before. And it's John Jovi. Yeah, I heard him do that open challenge. If I step out there, it's a spoiler. I'm going to beat you, Sean Jovi, and take that title again. But I don't want that.
Okay. I
don't want that championship.
All right. I would just say one thing, though. I guess with the Sean Jovi stipulation, he made it when it came to who comes out. It's whoever gets out of the curtain first. So I don't know what he's implying. I don't know if you get out of there first. I don't know who. So
I don't want it, though. That's the thing.
Ah, I see.
I could go out there. I could be the first one out that curtain and just beat him and smash him and take the title. But I don't want that. It's about legacies that I want to destroy. And yeah, one day I can destroy Sean Jovi's legacy with that RCW title and take it away from him if I want to.
Well, do you want
the interstate legacy that a lot of people have held that title? True. Jonathan Pierce, James Marshall, JDT, and yeah, a lot of people in that locker room right now wants that title because they want to build a legacy off of it. And I will. Whoever holds that title, if I face them, I will make them fall to me.
So you don't want the RCW title at the moment, the Ronis
I don't want the RCW title because I got this title. I made this title one of the top of this company. I elevated this title. Everybody I faced for this title, I smashed him. Nicholas Crimson was the first person that fought to me. Came in as a psycho wolf, and I sent him to church. That's why he's the Church of Crimson now.
Well,
Adonis Spilios, a wannabe king, got dethroned by me. Tyler Ark, man of massacres, made him say I quit. Picture of Perfection, Kodak Kid, came after me 3 times and got smashed. Now look at him sitting at home nursing a neck injury. Not so perfect. Dash Andrews, I buried him. Nobody has seen him anymore.
I haven't heard a thing about Dash Andrews. I mean, he was supposed to be the great white knight.
Everybody that stepped into my yard get smashed.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So back to the Meccas. Yeah, they got a legacy that I would love for them to come up and try. I would love to see Eric try to dethrone me. He's gonna fall to me. And I will end the Mecca's legacy. Because that's what my goal for 23 is kill people's legacy.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kraven Rage has certainly made his legacy here throughout the past year when it comes to wrestling championship entertainment. I'm going to come back to some of those things in a second, but I am interrupted by management of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, and I would like to be able to get what management has to say, Kraven, because I think people do want to hear what management has to say. WCE management put this rule on Kraven Rage and Kodak to make sure that there are no more dirty dealings or retribution on either side or on behalf of either wrestler. Emotions were high in the locker room after the security footage was released and the story came out. And we need to make sure at the end of the day, all roster members follow our rules and stay in control of themselves. As for Kodak, when the doctors give us the final all clear, we will make sure to bring him back as of right now. Okay, all right. And Raven Wolf has a bunch of more comments about that he's the real deal and he's the ruler of the yard, and we certainly appreciate that. But your reactions to what management has to say here, Kraven Rage.
That was a good thing. Management is right. They want to make sure everybody's safe and sound, and it seems like they love Kodak to protect them because they know how dangerous I could be if people try to come after me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I respect management decision, and I totally agree with a management decision 100% because at the end of the day, I stand on top of the mountain, and I don't see no one dethroning the ruler of the yard.
It's interesting because Kodak Kid basically had the same position that you had, maybe phrased in a different way. When it came to management, basically, it seemed like both sides, I guess, are kind of happy about what management has done. But most importantly, we'll see if Kodak Kid can come back and return to the ring. And I had asked Kodak another question, and I actually wanted to get your thoughts before I come back to some other things I wanted to ask about different wrestlers. And let me throw this out there, Kraven, for your reaction. And I had said to Kodak Kid, I said, well, let me ask you a question, Kodak. I said, let's say hypothetically you return in, I don't know, late 2023, maybe even 2024, right? You have to go through this serious injury. You have to go through this grueling process of recovering and everything else. But that means you get to take that championship that you have right now. I mean, what's your reaction toward that? Because Kodak Kid said, yeah, he would go through what you did to him. He would go through it if it means whenever he comes back, he takes your championship. I mean, what's your reaction to that?
I'm not worried about Kodak Kid coming back. If he comes back, he comes back. I'm just going to smash him again. But it's going to be worse this time. You know, yeah, coming back from a serious injury like that, you have to come back 100% better than you was before you even go after the person that injured you. If you don't, you'll be a fool. And Kodak talking about coming back, no matter if he's not 100%. That would be the biggest mistake of his career because I will not just leave him with an injury. I'm going to end his career this time.
Okay, and Nicholas Crenson says that things just got interesting on the WCE YouTube. Now, that is, you can view on Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WCE Heat. Now, can Nicholas Crenson or anybody else clarify what got interesting on the WCE YouTube page? Are you aware of anything, Mr. Kraven Rage, that we should be being notified of when it comes to the Wrestling Championship Entertainment page now that we are live on Sportswire Radio here with full Wrestling Championship Entertainment coverage? I mean, my crack staff is taking a look into this, and actually, we do have some breaking news. In fact, my crack staff has given us some breaking news here, and it looks like, Mr. Craven Rage, you might want to hear about it because apparently it has been just posted. If I believe, am I given the green light by management to break it here on Sportswire Radio? If I'm given the green light by management to announce what has just gone down on the Wrestling Championship Entertainment YouTube page, I will be more than happy to discuss that with Kraven Rage. I'll come back to Prince Charles in a second, but if management is out there and they want me to break the news, I'll break it. I mean, so it's up to management here. I mean, Kraven, do you want to hear what management might be brewing for? I mean, because I'll be happy to break the news here. It literally just hit YouTube about 5 minutes ago. I mean,
I would love to hear
well,
management speak on
if I can get a verification from somebody in management, somebody in the back that will allow me to break the news, I'm happy to break the news here. So Nicholas Crenson just kind of alluded to it. So I'm going to wait until somebody here from management can give me a green light to say, yeah, I can read off the news. I can't play the clip because obviously we're live here on the radio worldwide. But if there is somebody out there that would like me to, and we have here the news. So management is going to give me here the inside scoop. So Mr. Kraven Rage, you're going to get to hear it as well as everybody else watching and listening to this on Sportswire Radio. So here it is. News release. After JD's contract is expired and WCE was unable to come to terms with a new deal, General Manager Mark Packer had no choice other than to strip JDT of the WCE Interstate Openweight Championship. As of December 17th, 2022, the championship has been vacated, and we will have more updates on how a new champion will be crowned in the coming week. So just one more time, I have a comment or two, and you're going to have to wait. Anthony Finkel, kind of meaningless comment. I apologize, but we have to read this off once again. News release. After JDT's contract expired and WCE was unable to come to terms, General Manager Mark Packer had no other choice than to strip JDT of the WCE Interstate Openweight Championship. As of last month, December 17th, the championship has been vacated. We'll have more updates on how a new champion will be crowned in the coming weeks, and I am sure that Sportswire Radio will have those updates. And I do want to thank Anthony Finkel as well for the very, very kind words and sending stars for support of us. But Kraven Rage, I mean, this is unexpected. This is a huge blow, or maybe not, to a lot of people in the Wrestling Championship Entertainment locker room and the fan base. And you're our champion. You're our standard bearer. So give me your reactions here on the news that we have a now vacated Interstate Openweight Championship.
Well, unfortunately, that is breaking news. And if they couldn't come with the words contract signing for JDT and they stripped him of the title, oh well. That gives free reign to anybody in the WC locker room to put their bid in to go after that title, because it is a great title to go after. You have many good champions with it. Jonathan Pierce was the first interstate champion. James Marshall held it for a while. Unfortunately, he lost it to JDT. Maybe he can try to get back in the title picture and step up. Hell, I can go after it if I wanted to. But like I said, I like to build up this legacy more with this title. And speaking of titles, if WC management will make the announcement, because I know they're watching, there's a little change that's going to happen with this title here. Just say a little upgrade.
What do you mean?
What I mean by is WC management has decided to upgrade this title to something very special to all champions. Whoever will win it and become the champion. This is what? Right over here, the WC universe. You're going to be looking at brand new WCE All Out Championship now.
Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. Look at what we just saw here right now on Sportswire Radio. Kraven Rage, the Wisconsinite Championship, is now the all-out championship. I mean, look at that shiny belt there. Look at that championship. That is one of the premier prizes in all of wrestling. You forget about what Roman Reigns is carrying. You forget about what Jacob Fatu is carrying in MLW. You forget about MJF. You forget about anybody else. Tyrus in the NWA. That's the championship that Prince Charles said it best here. That's perfection. Ladies and gentlemen, that is perfection. Look at that championship belt right now. I mean, I don't think I've seen something on this side of the pond that looks as good as that championship right now. I mean, this is a game changer. Game changer is all I could say. I mean, management here has responded, apparently. Management has said, we are challenging all champions who fight for this belt to go all out and to make sure they leave it all in the ring to be deemed worthy of holding that belt in front of them. I mean, I'm speechless right now, Kraven Rage, and what we've just seen here tonight on Sportswire Radio. I mean, we literally have people left and right commenting. We have here the Meccas. They might want to have a chance at it. I don't know if that's confirmed or not yet. I'll let the management of WC can discuss and confirm about that. Adonis Felio says the show must go on, and that's perfection for you right there. And also, the Meccas are coming for this championship. Now, I want to ask you this question, Kraven Rage, and I'm going to come back to the Meccas in a second. I'll come back to everybody else. But, I mean, you already had a bullseye on your back. I'm sure you knew that, right? You had wrestlers from other companies. I had guys like C2K come on, guys like John the Rock Jackson, Stephen Havoc, who's the EHW champion. I mean, I've had a who's who of people, right? Your name has come up in some way or another. I would have to think now, does this open the forbidden door for wrestlers in other places or in other states, other countries even, to say, you know what, I'm a champion currently, or I've been a champion and I now come to challenge you? Or, I mean, what's your response? And also, give me your thoughts on some of those wrestlers that, you know, have said things about you that were champions or are currently champions.
Well, I have heard like C2K, I heard The Rock Johnson. You know, I've seen them guys come on your show. And yeah, I would love to face those guys because The Rock calls himself the people's champion. But if he face me, he's going to fall to me. He will be a people's chump. C2K, he can bring it. Anybody can bring it, but they better bring their A game. If management allow it, I would say open the door, because I will stack them and I will make sure they fall to me.
I mean, that could certainly be a possibility here. Is we are on Sportswire Radio with now the WCE All Out champion, Kraven Rage, who used to be the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite champion, but he's been upgraded. It's almost like when you get a credit card and you go from gold to platinum, and right now he is certainly carrying around what many people would say is a multi-platinum championship belt. And look at how shiny that championship belt there is. And he is, of course, the ruler of the Wrestling Championship Entertainment Yard. My name is the Reverend Tom Brice. And if you like what you hear from Wrestling Championship Entertainment, please give Wrestling Championship Entertainment a follow on Facebook at WCE Heat. That's the Wrestling Championship Entertainment's page. Also, YouTube at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Also, you can go to WCEheat.com for more information on the company and see content, matches, news updates, because it seems like there's going to be a lot more updates ahead. And we're not too far away from the start of the season. I think right now we're kind of at the halfway mark to the start of the season, because we are now almost out of January. So that means that we're not too far away from maybe mid-April, late April, depending on how Mother Nature cooperates. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, always continue to give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, YouTube at Sportswire Radio, and of course, listen to us anytime on sportnarium.com/player. And also, I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, U.S. time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, UK time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, with Pro Wrestling Stars, Young Horus, the Egyptian Underdog, your sister's favorite wrestler. That's his words, not mine. And the Cult of Killjoy, Dan Robertson. They'll have a lot to say, I promise you. You're going to definitely want to tune in. But in the meantime, we are here with Pro Wrestling Star, Kraven Rage. And Kraven, the Mecca say, the Mecca hood, he outspeaking them facts. We coming for you, champ. The Meccas bring nothing but that top tier gas for you. All right, so let me ask you a question in a different way, Kraven, with this obviously development. Let's come back to the development. You know, it was one thing, I think, when you were the Grand Slam Wisconsinite champion and wrestlers were chirping toward you and other people in the locker room. We had on Kodak Kid, right? But I almost feel like now that was a side dish to now the main entry of all these different wrestlers now, that a door is going to be open, because they're going to see now, you know what, I want to test this Kraven Rage guy. You know, he was undefeated in the last year, and he had all this success when he was a champion, but now I want to try him. I want to come in there and take that championship, or maybe even they want to put their title on the line. You know, I don't know. But does this almost in a way put more pressure on you that's already on you when it comes to now holding the all-out championship?
Like I told you before, Tom, holding a championship, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. I am the best in this business. I am the man in this business. I have proven that over and over each and every month. I have destroyed Nicholas Crenson. I said to him, he came in as a psycho wolf, but I beat him so bad I made him go back to church. Adonis Filios, I dethroned him. Kodak Kid, the picture of perfection, I made him not so perfect at all that I put him out. You got Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, that I sent him back to, so he go back to his own roots, to bring back the RCW title. You know, you got James Marshall. The list keeps going and on and on.
Hey, listen, JDT's out of town. I mean, JDT, that's it. He's gone. I mean, basically,
you know, the
throw
list
him out
keeps
there.
going on and on. Look at even JDT. He had to leave because he couldn't even handle the pressure of taking a loss to me.
And he hadn't had a championship in over 20 plus years in his career. This was his first one. And he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, because he's scared. Like, you know, people is afraid to step in this yard. And now you got the Eric Mecca. You got Tim Mecca. They want to come and take a piece of part of this. They better look at all the victims that has fallen to me. And they better look at everybody and everybody in that locker room. They better come with a A game because I am going 200% in that ring. I'm going to give it all out, and I will be dominant and more dangerous than I already am. 23, I'm ending people's legacies. And that is not a prediction, that is an actual fact.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, 23 famously was the number one by Michael Jordan. And many people would consider him to be, if not the greatest basketball player, but just maybe the greatest athlete of all time. And could Craven Rage be etching his path in 2023 as just maybe the greatest of all time, the greatest
You got
wrestler
to
of all
think,
time?
look, you just spoke it up. Michael Jordan. You put the ball in his hands, game winning shots.
Oh, I'm from New York. Trust me, I saw it many times, unfortunately, as a
Tom
kid.
Brady, you give him the ball, 2 minutes, he goes down the quarter, fourth quarter, give him the ball, touchdown. Babe Ruth hit the ball out of the ballpark, grand slam. That's what I do. I step up and I end it with a bang. 22, I ended it with a bang, and 23 is going to be only another banger because I am destroying everybody's legacy. And I mean that. It's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. I'm going to destroy each and every opponent in that locker room that try to build a legacy.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we might only need wrestlers from other places because if Craven Rage gets his way, it could be the year that we've never seen, unlike no other wrestler. Nicholas Crenton wants to give us some stats. Jonathan Pierce was a 58-day champion. James Marshall from our crack staff's math was 105 days as the interstate champion. So his run was very, very impressive. And then JDT from our crack staff's math had held the title for 70 days officially because he was champion from October the 8th to December the 17th. So that would give him a 70-day run as champion. And then Adonis Felio says, soon champ, lights out. JDT got his walking papers, took the ball and ran. Just answered my question, Craven. Great answer. As for Mecca, he doesn't take him seriously. Let me ask you, though, a follow-up question. And I don't know what your thoughts are. I don't know what contracts are with other companies. But let's say other champions did walk in here from other companies. Like I said, the EHW champion. We have the RWF and John Jackson's company. And we're going to have on another guest next week on Sportswire Radio, which we'll confirm later on in the week. That's another backyard wrestler from another place in the state of California, I believe. So I'm sure we'll have more wrestlers on after that. But, I mean, is that something that you would consider title for title? Or is that something that you let management speak for themselves on? I mean, what's your opinions on that? Because we see this in England now. You're seeing, obviously, Disciple, we had mentioned. I know you're familiar with Disciple, and he holds 2 world titles, and the promotions that he works for, they've let him defend the title against the other company's champion, and they put them up for grabs. I know it's a long answer, and I don't know the parameters based on legalities, contracts, management. But is that something that you think you'll be open to, or what's your thoughts on that?
I'm open for to see a champion from another area come and try to step in the WCE era against any champion. If it's the interstate champion, if it's the WCE all out champion, I would love to see that happen. But that's up to management. That's not my call, that's management's call. But if it does happen, I guarantee you that if they do step in this yard, they won't stand a chance because I will make them fall to me. And speaking of champions, we had the RCW champion, Sean Jovi. Eventually, we will call the interstate champion, whoever that might be. We have the WC All Out champion. And I know this other company called AIW. I know they have a champion.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping management will allow it a fatal four-way between those four champions just to see who's the better champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, did I just hear that? That we could see 4 champions in a fatal 4-way for the AIW championship, the RCW championship held by the resident rock star Sean Jovi, and I would say whoever walks away eventually with the Interstate Openweight Championship and your All Out Championship. Is that what I just heard from you as a proposal, Mr. Kraven Rage?
We don't put the titles online. We're just going to see we have that champion, the Interstate champion, the AIW champion, the RCW champion, and the All Out champion just battling it out in the ring. And whoever walks away is the better champion. No title, just you got 4 champions just battling it out to see who is a great champion. Because I already know if management allow it, I guarantee you there's a possibility that Kraven Rage will walk out still standing because I have never fallen down yet. And there's no one on this planet that could beat me. But I'm really curious about these mechas. I truly hope they do decide to show up in the WC arena. Because if they do, I'm definitely looking forward of making them fall to me.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Kraven Rage. Now, I can't speak necessarily on behalf of the Mechas, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do between now and the next week or so, maybe even 2 weeks from now, I'm going to get on the Mecha Brothers. I'm going to find a way to get the Mechas onto Sportswire Radio, and I'm going to let them speak. I'm going to give them the floor, and I'm going to let them talk about what they want, because you seem like a guy that might want certain things, and I get that. I don't know what management's position is on that, but I'm going to give the Mechas the floor. I'm going to let the Mechas talk and see what they want. Do they want to be in Wrestling Championship Entertainment? Do they just want to face you and see who's the best man or mano a mano or whatever that might be? I'm going to go out there and do that. So we're going to make that happen. We'll have an announcement here for the Mecha Brothers very, very soon, later this week, on when exactly they're coming on. But I can promise you, it's going to be real soon on Sportswire Radio. Very, very soon. We're going to do it maybe next weekend to give everybody a little bit of taste. And I'm also going to do something a little further here on Sportswire Radio tonight, and I didn't have this planned. We'll reach out to see if Mark Packer wants to come on here, because Mark Packer now has got some decisions. Because now, what do you do here with the Interstate Championship? How are you going to go about that? You've got your proposal now on the Fatal 4-Way, and I've never heard this before. If you think about this in all of professional wrestling or anywhere in wrestling, right? When was the last time you saw a Fatal 4-Way match with 4 different champions? Somebody come up with that answer, because I don't think there's been one, at least in recent memory. So this is a game changer here on Sportswire. We have heard so many things here on Sportswire Radio tonight that are game changers. I mean, if you aren't following Wrestling Championship Entertainment after this, you clearly need your heads examined. You clearly need to go follow them now at WCE Heat on Facebook, WCE Heat on YouTube, where you can watch Mark Packer's announcement, and WCEHeat.com for all of your information, your one-stop source for Wrestling Championship Entertainment coverage. So I really, really would encourage you to go support all those great platforms. So we're going to make sure here in the next couple of weeks that Mark Packer comes on, because I think Mark Packer right now might be the most important person in Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And then these Mecha Brothers. Go ahead.
I give you that. Mark Packer is the most important.
He's the most important man right now.
He's the face of this company. You know, he's, besides him and the management, they the face of this company. You know, I just do what I'm supposed to do, which is beat people up. and smash them, you know. But
Right.
Mark Packer is the face of this company. He needs to come on here because there's a lot of questions that a lot of people need to know. What's going to go on with the interstate title, you know, because that title is up there just along with this title. You know, it's up there because look at the people that have held that title. You Jonathan Pierce, you got James Marshall, you know, JDT. They carried that title and put it up on the pedestal, just like I have put the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite elevated. That's why management upgraded it because it's so high. They upgraded to this.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think right now it's a game changer what's going on here tonight when it comes to wrestling championship entertainment. And I think, again, Mark Packer right now is the guy that people are going to want to hear from, I think, when it comes to how he goes about this process. Because it's like I had mentioned a few minutes ago before we get to closing thoughts, Kraven, you know, we're almost a couple months away toward the season now. So when the season ended back in October, it was like, well, it's months away. Well, now we're like less than 90 days away from the start of the season. So now it's almost like this is all coming to fruition. We now have to figure out, okay, where do we go from here? How do we start this process? Because now we have a big decision on how this interstate championship goes about. Then we have your offer on the Fatal Four. I mean, we also have to find out with AIW. What does AIW want in this? I mean, AIW, I think, is somebody else that we're going to have to talk to on Sportswire to see what their side on this is, because they have to sign off on, right? Because it's their champion. Their champion has to agree with this as well. So, I mean, we certainly have had a lot of ground here. And also, this individual says, "May the force be with you, Craven Rage." And the Mechas here are pretty much said that they will basically figure out when to come on here. So, I mean, we have basically run the gauntlet tonight. We got Kodak Kid's injury update. We've got Craven Rage now as the all-out champion. We've got the Interstate Championship vacated. We've got a potential offer on the Fatal 4-Way Championship. We discussed what happens with the resident rock star Sean Jovi and his championship. We spoke about other wrestlers from other companies maybe coming in here. We talked about the AIW champions. We have a lot of different things that we broke ground on here tonight. It was certainly a very, very impactful, I think personally, as the host of Sports Report and the man behind Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Brice, I believe the most impactful wrestling championship entertainment show on Sportswire Radio to date. So I think this certainly takes the cake. I certainly, though, will say, though, Mark Packer coming on in a couple weeks could certainly top this, but we'll find out. But Craven, I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything that you want to plug or share or say. And I know, man, you are going to have a lot of wrestlers coming for you now. Not just in that locker room, but now that you opened it up in AIW and RWF, EHW. I don't know who, where, who else, who, when, where, what, how, and why. But you're going to have a lot of people coming for you even further. So I turn it over to you, my friend. I want to give you the floor and anything else you want to plug, share, say, and the floor is yours, my friend.
First and foremost, thank you, Tom, for bringing me on. Thank you, management, for making those huge announcements, upgrading the titles, upgrading this title. And thank you for everybody that support WCE, supporting Tom. Keep following us, keep watching us. 22 was a banger. 23 is going to be a much bigger banger just because we got great shows coming up. Hopefully we can kick up soon to entertain each and every one of y'all, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, absolutely. We'll certainly see, and certainly let's hope the weather cooperates with us. When I was speaking with Stefan Havoc on Friday's show, we were like, well, when do you think you come back? And I think their target was somewhere around the middle of April. So I think if all things go to plan, let's certainly hope at least by the end of April we have wrestling back here in full swing when it comes to wrestling championship entertainment, when it comes to Mother Nature. And I think that we'll definitely have that because it's, at least here in New York, it's been a milder than expected winter, and let's hope that hits a little bit here in the Midwest. Also, Prince Charles wants to say, great seeing Kraven on, signing off. Good luck to you in WC. Absolutely, Prince Charles, and we'll definitely get Prince back on in the coming weeks because we still have a little bit more time to the start of the season. So we have a lot to get into here. Obviously, the Mecca brothers. We'll see what they have to say about Wrestling Championship Entertainment, but also Mark Packer as well. And we will have on Crenton and Jovi, but that'll be for post-Rumble coverage. That'll be a little different on WC. But if anybody wants to mention WC, we'll certainly get their reactions. But most importantly, the Mecca brothers are going to come on. We're going to announce that a date toward the end of the week, and then Mark Packer we're going to be in touch with. So a lot to get into here over the next coming weeks. You are going to want to keep it tuned into here to us on Sportswire Radio, at Facebook Sportswire Radio, YouTube at Sportswire Radio, and of course listen to all of our audio content on sportnarium.com/player. I don't know if I should congratulate you, but I'm going to congratulate you as the new all-out champion because you have everybody gunning for you, and you, if you get your way, could have champion to the left, champion to the right, in the middle, and maybe even to the center towards you, and then who knows with this interstate championship and how that plays into all this. But obviously, I will say congratulations to you and looking forward to having you on here very, very soon, Mr. Kraven Rage. And I have a feeling you are going to be a very, very busy man on trying to live up to that promise of a Michael Jordan like 23 and 23. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kraven Rage, who is now the Wrestling Championship Entertainment All-Out Champion after management has upgraded the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite Championships now the All-Out Championship. We also heard the news that JDT has been stripped of the Interstate Openweight Championship. That was as of last month, December the 17th, and there'll be more news on that with Mark Packer in terms of a new champion being crowned. So we will certainly get into that here in the coming weeks on Sportswire Radio. So certainly tune in for that. Also, we got the news that Kraven Rage wants a fatal four-way, champion versus champion versus champion versus champion, and also includes a new company in AIW. So we'll figure all that out here soon. So my name is the Reverend Tom Brice. I am the man behind Sportswire Radio. I will be back again tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time with Dan Robertson and Young Horace. Also, Wednesday night live, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. The Lawman Kyle Kennedy, former Nonstop Action Wrestling world-class champion. And if you're on sportnarium.com/play, you go back to your regularly scheduled programming. And Adonis Felio says, thank you, Tom. Sportswire Radio is still number one in the USA. No, we're also number one in the UK, by the way, because we have a massive following in the UK and can never forget about our UK fans because we have wrestlers left and right that tune in from the UK. So it's US and UK. That's why we're the number one global radio station. But we love you, the Drip King Adonis Felios. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kraven Rage, as we are here on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. Good night. And Adonis Felios has said it best. Till next time, Sportswire Radio. And till next time, WC Universe. Thank you, everybody. Good night.